Let's play! Whoa!
Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. You all may call me Pharaoh, and welcome back to Let's Play Raging Loop. Last time we left off, we revealed that we were a snake properly by getting most of the humans on our side. And we're getting the favored majority, I should say. But then we had to choose between who the real spider was and who was lying. Was it Rikako or was it the old man? After choosing a bad choice, we eventually went with the old man. He hung. We were poisoned again. And then there was a weird scene with myself and Rikako. And now we're here. Oh boy. My eyes opened and I sat up. Haruwaki-san? Chimi was right next to me for some reason. She was holding my hand, crying her eyes out. I'm so glad you're alive. After you voted for me, but okay. She then rested her forehead on the back of my hand and began crying even more fiercely. I looked around. This was the dining hall. Everyone else was here too. So wait a minute, yeah. Everybody was watching what... Okay. But they all wore conflicted expressions. Chimi was the only one openly expressing how they felt. What happened? I actually had no idea for a moment, but then... Right. I almost died. What saved me, though? And why did I feel so good? It was like I'd had a full night's sleep. It's hard to believe I was just on the brink of death. Sorry, Chimi-chan. Can you, Yeah, sorry. It's fine, I just... What happened? You've been asleep for about 5 hours. It's dark outside now, but not much has changed. Nasato-san, what happened to me? Aconite poisoning. The symptoms were so bad that it should have been impossible for you to survive. But for some reason, you're alive. I believe I must congratulate you. His tone seemed to be somewhat sarcastic, but he was probably just hiding how suspicious and uneasy he felt. He was eyeing Rikako-san, who was standing near the window, looking down and comforting Miko. He wasn't the only one. She was the center of attention here. Wonder, disbelief, reverence, worship. Prayers really do work, huh? I had little doubt that what he that was what he was actually... I can't talk. I had little doubt that was what he actually thought. Do they? I don't remember much, but thank you, Rikako-san. Oh, you changed. I simply fulfilled my role as an Uematsu. It's fine. All that matters is he's alive. I didn't agree there. Being saved by some religious rites was just as ridiculous as this death loop I was trapped in. Copyright trademark, by the way. Prayers? Religious rites? Did that experience really qualify? I reached for my shoulder and felt fresh bandages. The cotton was bloody, meaning she really had stabbed me. Did she suck out the poison? That couldn't be it. I wasn't bitten by a snake. I'd ingested aconite poison. You couldn't just suck that out of the bloodstream. She didn't say that. So she had said that, right? Take in my poison? The role of the Uematsu. Yeah, okay, heavy burden. The spider, our bedroom worm servants. That's why they had to roll protecting the dreams of the villagers. They're also responsible for funeral rites. Huh. So that's how it was. I understood now. and I also understood how frightening the Uematsu were. However, there was something more important to worry about. Fusashi almost died, and Uematsu saved him. Could be an act. A reasonable thing to suspect, but if he can really make an act of stopping his own heart, he could make a living out of that stunt. Chikamochi, you saw him, right? Those were real symptoms.
Yeah, eating wolfsbane is no joke. And Rickshot ended up like that isn't a joke either. Ending up like that isn't a joke either. Stop it.
I just realized that her black clothes were gone. Old man. Fusashi and Uematsu are humans. So...
Wait, it wasn't Mom!
There it was. Everyone was here, but Kiyori-san alone seemed to be in a different position. She was deep in the room, sitting, probably forcibly, on a chair with a pale face. I wasn't the only one who ate the rice scroll, right, Yasunaga-kun?
Yes. No one ate any more after you were poisoned, but there was probably none of it in the pot. I believe the bowl you ate from had poison applied to it.
Or some was poured into the food after taking it from the pot.
No, I didn't do it!
Oribi-san, I'm not accusing you. I'm simply saying that it's fair to consider you the prime suspect. We can't absolve you of responsibility because we haven't formed a counter-argument yet. That's it.
I understand. I was the only one at the counter then, but it wasn't me! The bowls were on the shelf. No one was watching it. It could have been anyone.
That's the wrong way to look at it, Yasunaga Oribe-kun. Everyone could see it, so if something strange happened, someone would have noticed. Also, you were the one who brought the bowls out to be used. Are you saying you're the culprit?
No, I had no reason to do that.
True. It sounded like there were names on the bowls. The only time you could target him specifically is while the food was being served.
I know, but think about it. Mom would have been the first suspect even if Fusashi-san wasn't the one poisoned. Would be the point of her killing someone in this situation?
Yasunaga-kun, I hate to say this, but she may have wanted to take out the snake even if it meant dying in the process. Takumi-san joined the exchange. Kyo's right. Logically speaking, you're the most suspicious one here, Kiyori-san. That's what everyone thinks. Not just Kyo. Even I'm starting to suspect you a little.
Takumi-san, you too?
I can't let Kyo get all the hate here. How unlike you. But personally, I do trust Kaori-san. What's your reason? If she had to kill someone to protect Yoshitsugu, she'd kill everyone, not just Fusashi. She wouldn't make any excuses for it either. You're a scary mom with serious guts. Yeah. He was completely right about her. Takumi-san knew her so well and still fell for her, huh? He was serious about her. It made me want to cheer him on. Yeah, go for it, buddy. It's fine. We're not going to do anything. In that case, I had to make it through the night. I'll trust you too, Kaori-san.
Fusashi-san.
Do you have a reason? Well, the circumstantial evidence might not be in her favor, but it's cancelled out by her nature as a person. Also, I wouldn't trust Takumi-san's analysis. He believed in me, after all. Oh, thanks. What do you say? We can't hang any more today. We'll worry about it tomorrow. Good point. Anyway, it's late. Let's go to bed.
Mom, I'll help clean up. Oh, wait, that was Yoshinaga who said that. I'll clean up. I'll do it too. I'm gonna use the stuff here. Thank you, you two.
We left the family of 3 and went outside. Hey, Chi, where's my gun? It's fine, he's better now.
Actually, Found it! Oh!
To my surprise, the hunting rifle was placed against the dining hall's wall. But where are the bolts?
I threw them into the mist.
Kanzo-san grunted in displeasure, snatched the gun from Mochi, and went off into the mist.
Man, I'm no good.
She chuckled emptily. Is that use? Otherwise, that sounds weird. But yeah, okay. There were still dried lines of tears down her cheeks. It's fine. We had to take it apart. If it went completely missing, we'd had assumed you took it with you.
Me? Oh, as a weapon.
Yeah. We don't want to draw suspicion, right?
Man, this is such a pain. I'm tired of walking on eggshells. Can't the mist just go away already?
Don't worry. Everything will come to an end tomorrow. Yeah. I'm going then. Good night. And as he left, Takumi-san slightly tapped on my shoulder. Kyo said your recovery was a miracle. Don't waste it. He gave my shoulder a firm squeeze, then left. Of course. I would do whatever I can to survive. I'm going to.
Fusayuki-kun, good night. Haruwaki-san, be careful.
Yeah. Good night. Rikako-san didn't speak or even look at me until the very end. I crossed my legs and sat down on my futon. I wasn't tense anymore, probably because I was used to it, or because I wouldn't die tomorrow. I just didn't feel like sleeping, though. I actually felt really good. Why had I survived? Was it really aconite? Even I'd heard that real aconite poisoning was lethal. But what if it was actually some weird poison that just made it seem like you were dying, then fully recovered afterwards? That kind of chick would have been kicked out of the Rookie of the Year Mystery Novel Award in a prep reading. Yeah, something that people would have noticed. This is weird. I could relate to them both. Kiinosuke was right that was unlikely to be pure coincidence. And Yoshinaga-kun was right that it was unlikely risk to take for someone who didn't need to. All this thinking about who done it and why made me feel like I was in some mystery novel. Though, since I could easily dispel all my suspicions on Kiyori-san, I can more or less see how it was. The very premise was wrong. So, I knew exactly what I had to do today. I took out my notepad. I wrote down the name Yoshitsugu Ribe and put it near my pillow. Suddenly, there was a knock on my door. I quickly became tense again. A visitor? Now? Right after I almost died? I decide what to do after seeing their face. Excuse me. Man. But then I realized this hut didn't have any way for me to look outside the door. However, there were spaces between the boards of the door, most likely warped by changes in humidity. I peeked outside through them. Chimi? Another knock. Who is it? I went ahead and asked.
It's me, Chimi Surazawa.
What is it?
I want to ask something.
Well, ask away. Shouldn't you be sheltering right now? It's dangerous outside, isn't it? Sure you should be here?
I'm okay. There's still people walking around. Can we talk? I don't mind if it's through the door.
Sure.
I realize that I can't do anything. I'm a huge failure. I've been causing trouble for everyone here ever since I was little. That's why I studied hard, entered college, and went outside the village. Did you know that the only way people from Yasumizu can leave is either going to college or finding work somewhere else?
I didn't actually. You have people who work away from home?
Yeah. Takumi Nichan left once. His mom and dad are outside too.
News to me.
Yeah. his dad's sickly, so he goes outside every now and then.
Then why is he here?
The incident... No. The feast 8 years ago killed a lot of people, and he returned to help clean up, but the people that were still alive weren't enough for Yasumizu to function. Taba-chan depended on him, too, so he...
I see. So that's what Takumi-san didn't know about the last feast. The rest were in Kamafujiyoshi, right?
Yeah.
So no one besides Kanzo-san and the old wolf guy were here.
Oh yeah. Haru-chan. Haru-chan was so lonely at night that she left the school we were studying all by herself. Then she went through the mountain path and...
Huh? Wait, she was in Yasumizu too?
I don't know. The adults said they found her in front of Yasumizu, and there were rumors she saw something there. I don't know if that's the reason why, but she started acting weird afterwards. People said she was possessed by a wolf.
It came as no surprise, but Chimi still had info that I didn't know of. Had Haru-chan caught a glimpse of the feast? But that would mean that she too survived the Feast of the Yomi Purge. As things were, there was no way to leave Yasumizu when it was engulfed by the mist. I didn't know if I could enter it, but it was natural to think you couldn't leave after doing so. Thinking rationally, she shouldn't have made it to Yasumizu in the first place. But her possession... If she'd seen something in the mist without even making it to Yasumizu, could she have become afflicted with some trauma or something divine because of it? There's that creepy sentence. If I wanted to find out more about her, it was too late for that this time. I could have been wrong, of course. There was probably a lot more info for me to find, not to mention I couldn't go back unless I died. Also, I decided to save the humans so I would see it through to the end. Of course, that included her. Sorry. Anyway, why do you think you're useless?
I mean, I can't vote right, nor can I think like Yasukun or Takumi-ni-chan. Yasukun and even Nasato-san are doing... Yasukun and even Nasato-san are doing whatever they can.
Well, if you ask me, you're the reason why no one crossed certain mental ill lines.
What do you mean?
We grew accustomed to killing and unfairly punishing each other. In a way, we're already insane. Well, still, we'd surely regret it if we killed people purely for revenge, and we were absolutely in danger of doing that. And I kind of think that you've been racking your brain trying to avoid that at all costs. Well, that's how it seems to me, anyway. Did I miss the mark? Sorry, I don't mean to act like I know everything about you. I'm just saying that people have what they're good at and bad at, and I think that you're a valuable asset in your own...
Haruwaki-san!
What? All of a sudden, her voice cracked briefly, weighed down with sorrow.
Why? Why are you so nice? I'm useless. Even when you collapse, all I could do was cry. Just say it. Tell me I'm in your way and that I should just die.
Why would I say something I don't mean? It won't help anyone.
Say it. I can't hate you if you don't. I love you, Haruwaki-san. I can't bear it anymore.
This wasn't an admission of love. It was an SOS, if not a plea for death. Do you hate your home?
I do.
Everyone here too?
I hate them so much.
As if that's true.
But there's no place for me here.
In the end, she was someone who'd abandoned Yasumizu. Even if there was a space for her to live, she just couldn't adjust to this way of life, and her thinking was no longer that of a Yasumizu inhabitant. However, moving away didn't solve all her problems either. She saw a glimmer of hope in her homeland and returned here. Or so I assumed. But she didn't get what she wanted and suffered in vain. And to top it all off, she was caught up in the feast. It must have been incredibly painful. So that was why she trusted me so nicely. She treated me so nicely when we first met. There must have been a profound emptiness in her heart. But I couldn't return those feelings during the sloop. I'd already accepted someone else.
I get it. Rikako-san is cute, isn't she? I had no idea she had superpowers too, though.
What, superpowers?
She took away your poison. That's why you survived. It's amazing. I don't stand a chance against that.
You're charming too, you know.
Then go out with me.
Oh, God.
Play with me. Hold my hand. Take me on a bike ride far away. Let me spend all day sleeping in your arms. Open this door.
I could do that, but that would be an empty gesture. Being granted false hope only led to greater despair. So, I didn't open the door. I couldn't.
Liar.
I lied?
Not blatantly, maybe. You let me get my hopes up, then just left me hanging. And now you say you didn't lie? How mean. So cruel. And unfair. I'm just awful.
I might have underestimated some things here. Trying to save someone you've given up on was just naive hypocrisy. In the end, you need to be prepared and never see them again. But that only works when you've been physically separated. I was probably the only refuge she had left, but in this mist, there was nowhere for her to hide. She could only attack herself in a roundabout manner, by criticizing me. And
I want you to reject me properly.
No matter what happened here, it wouldn't end well. Worst case scenario, she would disappear into the mist again. Could I really write it off as simply drama between a man and a woman? But I'd already decided. The moment I opened my mouth...
What are you doing here, Sarazawa-sama?
Rikako-san's voice.
It's nothing. I'm just being pathetic. Night is for sheltering, and as the snake, Fusashi-sama is in danger. Should you not be more considerate? You're walking around too. As an Uematsu, I must perform what nightly patrols I can. That's just an excuse. Someone will die regardless, and what could you do if something did happen anyway? Even you could be a wolf, right?
Stop it, Chimi-chan.
The head of the Uematsu family. A beauty, a woman of character. You're not very popular in Yasumizu, but everyone here thinks you're a good person. In Kamafujiyoshi, you're actually respected and revered. You have a place to return to. But none of that matters now, does it?
Chimi!
Don't say my name! Rikako-san might be a wolf. She might be a terrible person. This might be all an act. I am human. Anyone can say that. What matters is whether you can get someone to believe you. And you use superpowers. Of course everyone will believe you. Of course he'll love you. I don't stand a chance against that. You have everything I don't have. You even took Haruaki-san. That's just too cruel and unfair.
I gotta say, like, whatever's going on right now is very uncomfortable, really. And I really miss the Chimi that we grew to, like, really get close to and respect in the first loop. This one, I don't even know what to say. She didn't want to hurt Rikako-san. She only wanted to hurt herself. But as one who could do nothing but hurt her, I couldn't say anything.
You are misunderstanding me. How? Haruaki-sama simply gave me hope. He merely lended his chest to me. In fact, he refused my indecent request. Even as he was dying, he clearly rejected me. There's nothing between us, and never will be. You're lying. You're just playing it off. Rather, I am the one who has nothing. I am a hollow woman, possessing only the Uematsu family's crest, history, and faith. I do not have a place of my own either. I do not even have the power to cling to salvation. My entire mind, body, and mind was sold off to Shinai-sama. What do you mean? Once the mist clears, I intend to finish my business here, hand Miko to the police, let the flow take me away from here, and accept where I end up. But you're different. Once the mist clears, Yasumizu will surely accept you. Your cheerfulness, strength, and consideration. It gives everyone hope. This is where you belong, and I have no such place. And Fusashi-sama belongs elsewhere. As those born in Fujiyoshi, we cannot dream of spending our lives with him. Let us go back. I will take you to your room. No, I don't get you at all. It's not that complicated. If you love each other, then date, and do whatever the hell you want. I cannot do that anymore. Why?
She's right. Yeah. Rikako-san had my thanks. She gave me the best way to deal with this.
Fusashi-sama.
I want to ask the head of the Uematsu something about the feast in Fujiyoshi. However, I won't open the door. Chimi-chan, you can go now.
No way.
If you don't believe that much, we wouldn't have worked out anyway.
Then I'll stay here.
What would you think if someone said in a listen on as you went over your history with men?
All right. I'm going.
I had no idea if she really understood. Or understood the way I intended. But she could probably tell that we were about to speak about something unpleasant.
Haruwaki-sama, once the mist clears, do what you have to do and do it right.
Backing down was part of a proper breakup.
Good night.
I could hear her walk off. Then, nothing. Uematsu-san.
Let me apologize for one thing.
Yes?
I showed you something unsightly earlier.
If we weren't in a situation, I had actually loved that.
Please, don't say that.
It made the mood less tense, but wasn't quite enough. Then I'll just ask. Was that an act or something? Or a mask you wore when you had to fulfill your role as Uematsu? I could hear her gasp.
You knew.
That response proved my assumption was correct. The bedroom woman servant. I should have questioned the lewdness, the derogatory nature of that term a bit earlier. The Uematsu were the Fujiyoshi head family in charge of the night, including the secret matters related to it. They weren't just a night watch and people in charge of funerals. They also handled the nightly affairs of men and women. That meant they were Fujiyoshi's local sexual service providers.
What? I mean, bedroom woman servants.
Oh man, okay. As the head of the family, Rikako-san obviously knew how to handle such things. If I had to guess, all the Uematsu girls were given such a role. Also, I imagine that taking in the poison and a corruption was closely related to bodily intimacy. I didn't know much about historic Japan's ideas of medicine, but I knew about the Chinese idea that lovemaking and health were closely tied together. Well, even if it wasn't something like that, knowing the human body, they could have easily formed the logic that it released negative energy. Oh my god. Spiders ate their prey by melting their insides and sucking them out. And boy, wasn't that fitting. Oh my god. There's also the Jorogumo, the orb-weaving spiders, who share their name with a yokai that was linked to many lustful stories. In the West, the female spiders that ate their males were called widows, and the Black Widow was extremely poisonous. Unnerving, elegant, and sexy at the same time. Spiders were unique creatures that created webs that used to catch their prey and consume them by melting them with poison. I could understand why equating them with evil women and enchanting ladies was so universal. And just now, I practically asked her if she was that. I was more or less right. Fujiyoshi was once a place where hunters thrived, attracting many outsiders, a lot of whom were rowdy. To keep them from going after local women, Fujiyoshi had to train specialists with the right set of skills. The Uematsu gained influence by placing their own relatives in that role. Also, prior to that, the Uematsu had some religious significance, turning their monopolization of sex into a sanctioned act. A sanctified act, whatever. Their influence must have spread to birth and child rearing as well, and the yoke of tradition made them very powerful. The Uematsu successfully gained control of the darkness most living people encounter by donning the filthy title of bedroom women servants and facing that darkness head on. The Miguruma controlled through the public side of faith and politics. The Higuchi handled food and smithing, new info, while the Nasato handled medicine, among other fields. I'd wondered where the Uematsu came in, and now it all made sense. But as time passed and their family business ceased having a place in modern society, their influence began to decline. War, the drop in demand for hunting, and the spread of diseases from the outside had made the Uematsu lose relevance. And the final descendants of the family had neither the originality nor zeal to adapt to the times and survive. Because of our role, we did not consider protecting the bloodline to be important. If an Uematsu girl gave birth, the child would be an Uematsu regardless of who fathered it. They would be taught the family's teachings, rites, some absurd laws, and become true Uematsu. The head would always be a woman, who also worked as a bedroom woman servant, and if she had a daughter, that daughter would be the new head. But if she did not, a different qualified girl would inherit the role. The Uematsu were bound, not by blood, but ideals. And if Fujiyoshi rejected them, we would be a hollow shell of our former selves. And it is not like any of the other three families would want to emerge with us. The head of the spider's family, the priestess of the spider, had a dark background befitting that title. And the future was bleak for her as well. The Uematsu were an unnatural relic of the past, and by cutting them off, the other three families would be able to further modernize themselves. Despite no chance of the family recovering, Rikako Uematsu was born into an unenviable position and grown to be another bedroom woman servant. I wasn't capable of claiming I could understand her. It wasn't an exaggeration to say that we lived in a different world. It would have been absurd to even claim I could take on her despair. You are truly gentle. I couldn't understand what she meant at all, though I thought about it for a few seconds before I would ask. You heard all that, yet you did not curse me as filthy, or talk me down. But this gentleness hurts. If you simply cursed me, I would find it much easier to give up. I think I understand how Serizawa-sama feels now. What? This took a weird-ass turn. Either way, I cannot use... I don't have key 15, so... I guess give up? Why did the locals think it was natural to put themselves down and give up on what they wanted? Was it common for local breakups to be considered a woman's responsibility?
Or were the men who dumped, or were men the ones who dumped while the women simply continued pining or something? Was it a custom? All I'd say to that was, eat shit. But perhaps the ones making a mistake were the ones who fell in love with girls like that. Is that enough? Can I ask just one more thing? Yes. You're a family head. Do you have anything to do with the secrets behind the feast? No. I do not know what the Miguruma are thinking, but the bedroom women servants must be of no value to them. Then why were you so certain you could let me escape? The silence wasn't too long. I am a descendant of an old family that lived in superstition. I used my powers as such to take in your poison. I thought that perhaps I could use it to let you escape. There's nothing more to it. Well, that made sense. And now that she used divinity as a basis, there was no room for me to argue. Is that enough? Yes. Thank you. I believe you. I guess it's time to sleep. Hope we see each other again tomorrow. You shall not die tonight. The spider, sent to us by Shinai-sama, will protect you. She was basically saying that she would protect me. You know, when you say that, it's strangely believable. Huh? Nothing. Give my regards to Miko. Certainly. Huh? Why? I'll probably mention this again tomorrow, but if I ask you, please tell the truth. That will end this game. If you're not with us at that point, I will take Miko to the police. Thank you. I believe you. That was the end of that. Still behind the door, she gave me a boring goodbye and left. Remarkably fatigued, I collapsed onto the futon. It was pretty thin, so the hard floor below hurt my shoulders, but I couldn't be bothered to even react. Did I actually just break up with 2 women in one evening? It hadn't even been that long since I'd broken up with what's her name? Mitsuji? Is that the first time you mentioned your ex? Okay. Or like her name? And I already had been in a habit of it. I got on a trip because of a breakup, only to find more of them. If I couldn't escape, maybe I'd just be happiest if I just came in through Saranaga like last time and enjoyed some time with Chimi. Or was there a better path to take now? I couldn't tell anymore. Wolves were out and about tonight, yet here I was thinking about this stuff. Was something wrong with my head? Well, there probably was, but this wrongness was different. Still, I saw how things would go. There was one thing that bothered me, though. Would Rikako-san survive? That question, no, worry, remained floating in my brain. I tried to let go of my consciousness. Oh, so Yoshi is human. Okay, well, that's a good thing then. Nothing I woke up to came to me as a surprise. I hadn't died. I'd know it'd be that way. All that remained was figuring out how to end things. I merely had to find a compromise between what was happening and what I felt. No. There were 2 more things to consider. The wolves could go out of control before the feast even begun. I didn't know who I had to mourn today. It was 5 in the morning and everything was still covered in mist. I could see things better than at night, but not by a whole lot. Was Kanzo-san patrolling again? He was no longer like he had been yesterday morning, so I could hope that he was, but he no longer had a gun. The fact that he, a confirmed human, was patrolling like that was actually pretty good for us. I carefully took a step forward. The wolves were liable to appear from the mist at any moment, so I snuck around just in case. However, this was a world of mist and ominous silence. As I walked, the grass swayed, and the crunching of the gravel felt loud enough to be heard by the entire village. In fact, even the sound of my heartbeat was deafening. The hell with this. I had to pull myself together. If they were coming, I surely would have heard them too. I just had to stand up. I just had to stand still to know if I was in danger. I didn't hear anything. There was no one. Or perhaps everyone was hiding. As I began suspecting that a murder was about to pop out of the nearby bushes, I stopped running. I went to the side of the road and hid myself. I carefully thought about the situation. If you looked at the feast as a game, the judges were mostly uninvolved in its progression, leaving it to the players. They only dispensed supernatural deaths to those who killed more than one, or humans who walked around that night. It was really minimal intervention. On the other hand, though, that didn't mean they would stick to their rules and keep the number of victims under 2. And so far, the sides that were cornered tried to kill people even if it meant getting the death penalty. It happened every time. In other words, observance of the rules wasn't valued, meaning that having more deaths that allowed was not a problem. Not only were the humans unprotected, but the wolves, who saw justice in the real story, were entirely capable of disregarding the corruption to commit murder. Looking at it that way, I had no idea what the Game Master, the Great Lord Shinai, was trying to accomplish. Did he just want to see bloodshed? In that case, why the roundabout method? He was the god of the mountain. The corruption was his law. The Yomibito were the enemy, but it wasn't clear whether the ones sent to Yomi were the humans or wolves. It made so little sense. If the corruption was the power of Yomi, it wasn't even clear where the boundary between the mountain and Yomi was. In other words, it was safe to think that the mountain and Yomi were the same thing. Shinai was both the mountain and Yomi, a two-faced god who split the Fujiyoshi people, worshipping him into 2 opposing factions on a whim. His aim was this very bloodshed. The mist, the village, everything here was like a coliseum to him. A hunting ground, basically. I had to be overthinking things. However, the fact that the rules weren't strict and the punishment wasn't swift created an opening. There probably was a way to clear the game with minimal casualties. I had to make it through the situation, though. I made a gamble. After taking a deep breath, he screamed really loud. I screamed at the top of my lungs, then hid. If Kanzo-san or Takumi-san heard it, they were bound to come. If it was a wolf instead, they would make a move, wondering why something serious happened without their knowing. They couldn't catch me off guard if I hid and watched from the shadows. 5 minutes passed, yet I heard nothing. What if everyone was already dead? That was impossible. Maybe they knew what I was thinking and were now planning to ambush me? I was just guessing, but you never knew what could happen in the mist. My next option was to sneak around and look around the whole village. I would move swiftly and in short bursts. I'd make noise for sure, but it would also make it harder for any potential lurkers to find me. The Okiba were large and had decent amounts of space between them, making them good hiding places. I ran and hid. Then I held my breath. Nothing was happening. Not thinking much about it, I repeated the process. I ran and hid, then stayed quiet. I ran and hid. Well, there's Yoshi. Ah, he screamed too. Yoshitsugu popped out of the stone I was aiming for and charged at me. I jumped to the side. What? A woodcutting axe slashed through the place I was just standing in. Fuck! Wait, it's me. Calm down. You? Fuck! He then angrily threw the axe away in a random direction and screamed, "Fuck, fuck, fuck!" No point in sneaking around anymore. But this made me understand something. His rage can only mean one thing. Wait, it was the one who died last night. Fuck. Fuck. After waiting for him to calm down a bit, we began walking together, no longer trying to hide it all. If he'd made so much noise and survived regardless, it was safe to assume that there would be no ambushes. And even if there was, it would be 2v2. We would be on equal footing. As expected, we made it to the plaza without anything happening. Yoshitsugu hadn't said a word the whole way. He was just breathing heavily, like when he attacked me, and his eyes were so wide that his agitation seemed to become madness. I'll look. Not waiting for an answer, I went to the dining hall. I was instantly assaulted by a strange reek. We would never eat her again. As I became certain of that fact, my heart sank, which is pretty out of the character for me. I took a step forward. The cupboard's glass was completely destroyed, and there were porcelain pieces all over the place. This must have been caused by Yoshitsugu-kun's rampage. Her bed was upstairs. I went up carefully just in case, but it didn't feel like there was anyone alive inside. The supports and walls were slightly damaged in places. Yoshitsugu-kun had taken it really hard, huh? Even the phone, the only one in the village, was completely broken and on the floor. After seeing it, I went further in to her room. It was the same. The philosophy behind the murder was the same as Haru-chan's. The bloody footprints were standard at this point. There was no doubt that this was done by wolves. What was different was that it wasn't a clobbering, but a slashing. Kiori Aribe's remains were cut up and drowning in a sea of blood. She hadn't been torn apart or split up randomly. It was best to say that she'd been cut into rings. Jesus. Her body was lying on its back, covered neck to toe in horizontal slashes. They did make it to the bone, but didn't break through them. Her entire front was cut open like a fish fillet. I couldn't tell whether she died from blood loss or suffocation due to the multiple neck injuries, but whatever it was, she suffered an awful end. And yet again, for some reason, her face was left completely untouched. She clearly vomited lots of blood, and her expression was downright demonic. Had she been conscious while it was happening? Were the faces of the detestable wolves burned into her now dead eyes? I'd seen how intense this woman could be. At this point, a part of me felt like it was the real her. However, no matter how demonic, she was definitely a loving mother. To both her two sons, as well as Yasumizu as a whole. Looking at her reminded me of the Buddhist goddess demon Hariti, or Kishimo Jin, no matter how irrelevant that was. And oh boy, was it irrelevant. In Shinai-sama's court, gods on the outside had absolutely no power. Suddenly, I realized her arms were completely unharmed. I also noticed that some of the wounds seemed to be facing downwards. The back of the hand was facing upwards, while the palm was facing down despite the wounds being on the palm. Why? Upon further observation, I noticed something strange about her undamaged hand. Her fingers were in a peculiar position. Her right hand squeezed its pinky and ring finger. Meanwhile, her left was grasping all the fingers except the thumb. Had she been conscious when she'd gotten these wounds? Had she bent her arms and pushed her fingers on the floor into this position? Was it a shape created by her painful, absurd end? Or perhaps some sort of message? Yoshitsugu-kun had caught up with me, with Yoshinaga in tow. Mom! That it? What are you getting at? You think you understand how I feel? What, you want me to wail or something? I'm grieving too! This is pure despair! But I need to think, so I can avenge her. Mom always told me to think a lot, study a lot, and become a hallmark of excellence so that Dad could rest in peace. I'm jealous of you. You don't have to deal with that. You lived however you wanted, yet you still got all of Mom's attention. In the end, I've been clinging to something so childish my whole life, and always wasted time on such useless thoughts. But I still thought that all these walls between us would be gone when you grew up and Mom would become reasonable. But that's impossible now. It makes me feel empty. Aniki, please don't say stuff like that. Mommy's gone. She'd always say something if we were being troublesome, but she's no longer here. Why are you being troublesome at a time like this? I will avenge her. I will find out what these fingers mean, understand it, and chase down who did it. That will be the end of my involvement with her. Mommy loved you! You know, you always pissed me off. When we talked, she'd always talk about you. She'd do it with others too. Hell, she'd even talk about you when she's by herself. You live in a dorm, so you don't know this, but recently, she often talked to Dad's photo, and it's always about you. You're lying. I'm not. She loved you way more than me. Of course she did. You're better than me. That's why she pushed this shit on me. Fuck. Suddenly, he pushed me aside, went forward, and reached for her body. Hey, what are you doing? Mommy, I'm so sorry. All choked up, he screamed and opened his dead mother's mouth. Shit, it ain't here. Yoshitsugu, stop! Wait, did she swallow something? Yoshinaga-kun's eyes widened at my question, while Yoshitsugu-kun reached for the wound on her neck. Mommy! Found it. What he took out was something small and covered in blood. He cleaned it with his fingers, exposing something transparent. Apparently, it was something covered in food wrapping. Aniki, open it. She told me to dig through her body if she died, and give what I found to you. She really did love you more than me. Wake the fuck up! Fusashi-san, sorry, but could you open it for me? My hands are shaking. I felt apologetic. I probably wasn't even supposed to be here in the first place, so I would at least do this much. The wrap had a rolled piece of paper inside. When I unrolled it, I realized just how small it was. There was tiny but legible writing on it. The wrap protected any damage caused by blood or saliva, so I could read it clearly. One, Rikako Uematsu. 2, Chimi Shirazawa. 3, Chikamochi Kamoshida. 4, Miko. 5, other. Please read this together, you two. I always knew you were concerned about my attitude. I wanted Yoshinaga to show what he's capable of somewhere. I wanted him to show what he's capable of somewhere far away from this dreadful place, and I would be too worried if I didn't have Yoshitsugu at my side. I came this far with such thoughtlessness, but it doesn't seem like I will survive this night, so please understand this much. I love both of you more than anything in the world. Please forget everything aside from that and have a fun brotherly life. Mother. So, this list, is it like her likely suspects? I'm a little bit confused about this. She places Rikako at first, then Chimi, then Mochi, which she's correct about, if that's the case, then Miko, then other. So, This wasn't something I could read for them. I just spread it out and put it on a simple gesture on my side. It says you two should read it together. I'll leave, but before that, let me examine your mother's remains a bit. They didn't say the word, and I took it as a yes. I walked up to the remains. Again, I checked that the wounds on the palms were facing down. The right hand's thumb, index finger, and middle finger were up, while the left, it was only the thumb. I looked into the wound Yoshitsugu had reached into and extended my finger toward it. I opened it up and examined the cut. There was just one large tube. I see. I'm done here. I'll wait with everyone else downstairs. Takumi-san was standing at the entrance to the dining hall along with everyone else. He was armed with a farming tool while Kanzo-san had a hunting knife. It was obvious that they walked around all of Yasumizu and woke everyone up. Thus, they understood the situation. The Oribe brothers and I missed them because we left our houses earlier and then came to us. Oh, excuse me. They probably woken up early because they were worried about their mother. Takumi-san wasn't saying a word. He just cast his eyes down and tightly pursed his lips. He vehemently ignored his urge to run to Kiori-san. As a man who couldn't, or was too late to, become their father, he thought he had no right to step into their family matters. It was a tragedy. From start to finish. Good morning, everyone. This might be a bad time for this, but I now understand everything. Once they're back, I propose we start the final feast. It took a whole hour. I didn't hear any loud noises from upstairs the entire time. That was why, when they came downstairs with red eyes, we all understood that they'd been quietly crying. Everyone silently agreed with my proposal, and we all went to the hall. All right. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, as much as I love to keep going, my voice is kind of going blah, and I need to have some dinner. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And we'll just see what happens next. Like, I feel like we're getting super close. Now, I feel like I'm still a bit confused about what happened. Unfortunately, my brain isn't firing full blast at the moment, but I'm assuming that list was, like who she thought was the most suspect, right? So the fact that she had Rikako up there on top is worrisome. But then she had Chimi, which frankly, the way Chimi was acting right there, the whole, like, the night before, I wouldn't be surprised at this point. So yeah, no, and we still have Chikamochi who's still around, so that's also a problem. I'm not sure. We'll see what happens. So, as usual, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time for Let's Play Raging Loop. Love you all so much. Have a great day.